We've been gone a long time. We back now. You twins? Nah, we cousins.
There are legends of people with the gift of making music so true. It can conjure spirits from the past and the future. This gift can bring fame and fortune.
Will somebody take me in your eyes?
But it also can pierce the veil between life and death.
Listen here. This ain't no house party. Shit. Y'all ready to drink? Y'all ready to sweat till y'all stink?
You want some?
You keep dancing with the devil.
Careful, boy. You gonna bite off more than you can chew.
One day he's gonna follow you home.
We got us a problem now. What the hell going on?
Oh, we heard tale of a party. This world already left you for dead. I can save you from your fate.
You don't need no saving.
Yes, you do.
And you are?
I am. Your way out. Don't cry. It's all better now.
Yes, I lied to you. I don't believe in magic. Ghosts, demons. Just power.
Somebody please take me.
We gonna kill every last one of you.
I ain't mean to scare you. Thought y'all done forgot about me in here. Come on, open the door, let me on out of here.
Stay. It's you?
Of course it's me, open the door.
That ain't your brother.
Lied to you.
Yo, smell anything? I think I shot myself.
Hello everybody and welcome to the entertainment headquarters and welcome to a very special live review. And joining me for this particular review we have none other than my good friend from Jedi Velle Productions, Mr. Jedi Velle himself.
How y'all doing today? Thank you for having me on, brother.
I could not have you on after the film we have both recently been to see. I had at the beginning of 2025 5 anticipated films, and I'm happy to say that this one was on that list, and I have to say it did not disappoint.
No, it did not. In fact,
Yes.
This was a big surprise for me because I heard about this film, but I was kind of mixed emotions about it because, like, is it worth watching? Is it worth seeing? And thankfully, through a generous person's enthusiasm about it, yours, you said that it was definitely not something you should pass over. I'm glad I went to go see it, and thankfully, I was like, yes, this is what I need. I because I have not been to the theater. I have not been to the theater, but once this year. That was for the working man, and everything else has been junk. So yeah.
Yes. Definitely. Like, I went to see The Working Man. It was a real fun movie, and then around the same time, like, another espionage type film come out, The Amateur, which I do not recommend. For me, it's not a movie you see in theaters. It's a movie you see on streaming. It should have went to Netflix or Amazon or whoever, HBO Max, you name it. It should be on that. But the film, anyway, we are happily here to talk about is none other than Sinners.
Yes.
And Sinners is legit the shit. It's a great film.
That's dude. You ought to make that your say so right there. It's like it's legit the shit. That is the catchphrase. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kevin Lambert has made a catchphrase that should go down in history, baby. Yes,
legit the motherfucking shit.
Yeah, there we go. I like that.
And joining us right now, watching, is our other good friend and brother, Mr. Sci-Fi Century.
Yes.
You, my brother. Hope you're well. Thanks for tuning in.
Hope you're doing well, brothers. Yes.
So you mentioned, you had heard a little bit about this movie and had a bit of trepidation about it. So when was it you first heard about Sinners, and what was it about the film?
Well, I heard about it a while back. I saw the trailer for it, and I know Ryan, the director of this film, Ryan Coogler, he's very meticulous with, what he does in terms of telling a good story, but have some very intricate meaning to it, and I was kind of like saying, okay, it's set in the past. And I know for me, I have no problem with a period piece, but I'm like, if you do it right, make sure it hones in and does the job what you're supposed to be doing. And sometimes they don't follow well with that. But I was kind of skeptical because I heard that it had a twist to it. You've seen it. Like I say, this movie is set in the South during 1930s, and we know about the so-called segregation and all these things.
Yes.
But the thing about this film, I was kind of like say, well, maybe I'll give it a try. But I say, like, I want to get someone's opinion about it, at least to tell me if it's really worth my time. Thankfully, word of mouth, yours, pretty much says, like, dude, if you do not go see this, you will be missing out. And thankfully, I did go see it today, and I was like, it hit the mark. It hit the ground running.
Yes,
Love this.
It's definitely a movie that should be enjoyed in theaters. This is definitely a movie event. It's definitely the kind of movie that you have to see in all its glory on the biggest screen with the best sound possible. Now, you mentioned the director, Ryan Coogler. Yeah. For me, he is like another version of Robert Eggers. Both very talented directors with a unique style, a unique vision of storytelling that always bring very strong cinematography. So as we know, when it comes to Ryan Coogler, he did Black Panther. He did Creed. And them two films are also two amazing films I thoroughly enjoy.
Which I did too, yes.
And he's done it again, in my opinion.
Yes, and this is and I have to say, this was totally written by him. And as a storyteller, as a screenwriter, that's one thing I feel he has a very strong gift in writing strong characters, strong dialogue, and really putting it at a pace where it's like, okay, we're not just throwing stuff at the screen and it sticks. No, he really integrates something that you're watching and makes you feel it. I mean, because I know for me, when the two films you mentioned, Black Panther and Creed, I felt those pictures. I mean, Creed is more of like it's more like a sequel to the the Rocky films, but it's his own entity, and you feel that.
Yeah, he basically kind of made a Rocky Balboa with the Creed connection for a new generation.
Yes.
And Michael B. Jordan, up to a certain point, I've always thought he was an interesting actor, but he's not somebody that always stood out to me. But I genuinely believe, because of his partnership and his connection with Ryan Coogler, I genuinely believe he's brought the best out of him. And
yes, exactly.
every movie that they two have a collaboration with, they're certainly just knocking out the park. And like you say, I do believe Michael B. Jordan, I don't know if he was an executive producer on this or if he just stole. I don't think he was, but I definitely think he had a strong, I guess, I think he would have some say on how he wanted these characters to come across.
Yeah.
But let's get into it and talk a little bit about Sinners. So, Sinners is a 2025 American period horror film produced, written, and directed by Ryan Coogler. Set in 1932 in the Mississippi Delta, the film stars Michael B. Jordan in a dual role as twin brothers who returns to their hometown to start again, only to be confronted by a supernatural evil. The film also features Haley Stenfield, Miles Cotton. This is his acting debut, his first ever acting credit, and what a way to start your career. Such a talented actor. Jack O'Connell, Wumi Musaku, Jamie Lawson, Omar Miller, Buddy Guy, and Delroy Lindo, and Lee Jun Lee.
Yes, Mr. Lindo, legendary in his craft. We've seen him in many pictures, but he's definitely an incredible actor.
Yes, and two of the actors in this movie, Jack O'Connell and Delroy Lindo, will also be starring in the next MonsterVerse feature.
Oh, wow. Okay. Didn't know
they
that.
have both been cast in the next chapter of the MonsterVerse alongside Sam Neill.
That's going to be an interesting take, I mean, and hopefully, they bring much street cred to the films, because I love to see talented thespians in films that seem over the top, but give it such robustness that you say, okay, we're looking at a monster film, we're looking at the sci-fi, we're looking at something out of the ordinary, but they're giving it something that's like, okay, it's more grounded when you watch them, and I feel like they do bring that to the table, very much so.
100% agree. But Sinners, definitely, there's not one bad character, and there's not one bad performance in this movie. Will say that.
Oh, yes,
every move, every performance literally hits the mark, in my opinion, right out the gate. So it starts in 1932. The identical twins, Smoke and Stack, who apparently are war veterans, which doesn't, they mention that a little bit, but not a great deal. But, the veterans, they return to the Mississippi Delta after years in Chicago.
What's funny is they up there, especially at this time, they're dealing with, when they mentioned Capone, it's like, oh, wow, that's pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah, so basically I don't know if I want to do spoilers or just make this a regular review, because
I was gonna say what I say is your, as my one of a late friend used to say, it's your baby to rock. So whatever you decide, I'll roll with it.
Well, let's do spoilers, because it's going to be hard for me to talk about the movie without spoilers.
And I have to agree. And I have to agree. I mean, I have watched some films where I put it like this: I start off with saying what's going on, what's dealing with, and then I say break out the spoilers, because there's no holding back, because you can't tell the story without doing. What's up, Tony, my brother?
Thank you, my brother. Thanks for tuning in. So let's just because I'm trying to talk about Smoke and Stack, but since we're doing spoilers, let's go right to the beginning.
Let's go
So
to
the film starts in the Mississippi Delta, and you see a car arrive towards this really small church. You see a guy get out of the car. He literally walks towards the church. He looks a bit shriveled. He's holding a guitar. There's kind of blood scattered all on him. And next thing you know, he opens the doors of the church and people get a bit of a fright that he's standing there. He then walks towards, then goes down the aisles of the church towards the preacher who says, "Come in, my son." And he's standing there and he's got what looks like a giant claw mark across his face.
Right.
And you're immediately like, oh shit, what the hell's caused that? And he's basically the preacher who is his father, says, drop the guitar and come back to me, basically, because he told him never to play the guitar because it can attract evil. And the screen goes to black, and then it's revealed that this was
literally 24 hours.
Within 24 hours, there's some sort of event that has took place.
Which is weird because things like this, you think it happens in like maybe 3 days or something like that. This happens all in the span of that.
Within 24 hours. And so basically, before the 24 hours, it goes back to the next day, where you're then introduced to these two very charismatic men, handsome men, would I say, Mr. Smoke and Stack.
Yes.
So Tony's given me permission to do spoilers. So let's do it, baby.
All right.
So basically, you've got Smoke and Stack rock up, and you see them standing outside of this old mill.
Yes.
And there's a guy there who, this big fat white guy.
Yep, you say it is big white
and
fat guy.
He's got his he's got his little what you call toothpick in his mouth, and he's twirling it, and he's kind of trying to break a deal with Smoke and Stack about buying the mill, but he doesn't think they're serious. They don't think he's serious, and then they show him a wad of cash, and he takes the wad of cash off them. But then there's kind of like this underlying tension between the two of them.
Yes.
And then they kind of know this guy, there's something about him is bad news, and he knows that there's something about them that doesn't feel right either.
Yeah.
So he finally he allows them to buy the sawmill off them, and he basically says, they basically say, we don't want you ever to come back to the sawmill, and don't let any of your boys come to the sawmill, because they basically know who he is and who he's connected with.
And the brothers tell him, and it's like, say, if we see any of your so-called colorful friends around here, we're gonna kill them and you. And he tells them, it's like, there's no more of that organization around here, And
basically, the hint at the Ku Klux Klan.
Yes. And the funny thing is, when he said, and to tell you the truth, when we see this scene, I'm thinking it's just a throwaway moment. I think it's like I say, okay, he says this, we move on, but that's one of the things about this script, about this the writing, is like everything connects up to another thing, and we'll see later on what goes down that makes this trivial in terms of why this was said.
So after the successful buy-in of the old mill, they want to turn it into the Duke. Now, the Duke is going to be a blues kind of hideaway for, all of the people who work on the plantations, all of the workers. you know, or I guess of the minority, what people I guess would say are like the minority who need a place to go to just chill out, you know, have some time away from just going to work, then going to bed, then going to work. It's like it's a place to go to have a release, to have a break, to have some me time,
Never
and to
to be
hang out.
worried. Yeah.
And
I
to
was just going
hang
to say,
out.
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, just like to hang out with friends or with family or just connect.
Yes. No, I was just going to add, it's like it's in also knowing that in this time frame, they don't have to worry about it's actually a safe zone where they don't have to worry about, you know, the other someone coming in and trying to attack them for whatever reason, because we have to remind ourselves this is taking place during this time of really, if you think about it, during the time when if you are a minority, you are definitely one of those individuals who are quote unquote in danger of offending the white Caucasian, because if you say do anything that seems like is liable for you to get struck down, killed, yes, this is, and that's what they're trying to avoid, you know. But I just wanted to put that out there.
Generally, like obviously, it's set in Mississippi. We know about the movie Mississippi Burning. We know what that decade was like. We've seen the harshness of it all, and this definitely has a throwback to that film. It does have like that intensity about it, the atmosphere at times throughout the course of the movie, and it's like it's an underlining, like it's not there visually, but you know, like there's that underline of like this time, and like you've mentioned, the tension with the minorities, and you know, all of that stuff, the plantations, and you know what went on during that time. But they want to buy the Duke, so they ended up going back to their hometown. They end up going into the town, and there's people that know them. There's people that know their reputation. There's people that like them. There's people that are afraid of them. One of them even gets shot in the ass.
Yeah, right. That gets shot in the ass, and the guy the one that gets shot in the ass say, "Well, because he has a girl, guard the stuff and everything," and he tells them, tells them, I told you that this is the Smoke Brothers and everything stuff, you know." He said I didn't believe him, and there was another guy that was behind him that was helping him out. He shoots him in the leg, says like, "Well, I don't want no one to say that someone got over or tried to get over on the Smoke Brothers, you know." So it's like it's just a warning to say it's almost, in fact, if you think about it, it's almost a way of how gangs of today have to kind of maim or hurt or literally kill somebody to say that my reputation can't be, denied. It has to be solidified that I am this person. I am this badass. You cross me, I'm going to do something wrong to you. You know, and that's in a way.
Not remember as well what happened later on when the Duke's open. You've got that guy who's cheating at the card games at the back, and he basically gets the shit beat out of him.
Yes.
So it's like trying to keep the reputation, but also wanting to gain respect.
And that's the thing. You got. See, if you lose face, that's how it is, and you don't want that to happen to yourself. That's kind of the way it is now.
Yeah. So basically, they end up going to the town and they see the old friend who owns the grocery store, who provides all of the food. He has to like negotiate to get the sign made for the Duke, and the only kind of color paint they've got is red, which is very forward since it's full of blood later on in the film. And they do that. One Duke goes into town, does that. The other one, so you've got Smoke and Stack. Stack basically goes into town with the truck,
Yes,
with all the equipment and negotiates all what they need to open the Duke. The other one ends up going to a place in the middle of, like, I guess, where all of the plantations are.
Yes.
And he goes and he bumps into his, I guess, ex-wife or ex-partner.
Somewhat an ex-partner, might as well say that.
So he has a photo of a lot of the majority of the main cast.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So the lady in the white, that is his ex-partner, who basically they had a relationship.
You saying the white?
No, black.
Oh, black. That's what I was about to say. Yes, that one. Yes, she's the one that has the so-called voodoo or some kind of ritual kind of stuff. Yes, I was gonna say.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's Annie, who's played by Rumi Musaku.
Yes.
And she basically is, they had a relationship. She fell pregnant, and he's been away in Chicago for a long time, Smoke. So when Smoke comes back, he goes to visit her, and he goes to see basically where they had laid their baby to rest.
Yes.
And they reconnect, and they definitely reconnect.
They reconnect very good. They reconnect very well. Yes.
So they reconnect, and after that event happens, and he basically convinces that to like cook all the food for the Duke.
Mm-hmm.
He meets up with Smoke, who also went to pick up their younger cousin.
Yes.
And this is where it connects to the scenes that happened at the beginning of the film, the first 24 hours after. It pans back to the same little church.
Mm-hmm.
And the preacher's preparing his sermon for the morning, and that young guy who had the marks on his face is walking to the church with his guitar, and he's there to tell his dad that he's going to meet up with his cousin Duke and Smoke, and his cousin Smoke and Stack, and that he's going to be playing at the Duke joint. And he disapproves. He's like, you can't play your music will attract evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's dark music and all this. And he's like, well, regardless, I'm passionate about music. I want to be a musician. It's what I love, and I'm gonna go whether you like it or not. He ends up getting into the back of the car with Smoke and Snack, and they drive off. They then go to the station, the train station, because they're looking for people who know musical instruments.
Know how to play, right?
Yeah, and that's where they meet good old Delroy
Lindo. What's his name in the movie though? It's
Delroy Lindo's character is called Delta Slim.
Yes.
Yeah, Delta Slim. So he's like a drunk. He's like the local drunk, but he's really good with playing instruments.
Yes.
And they have to kind of bargain with him to like not play at his regular joint to work at the Duke.
Mm-hmm.
So he finally agrees to do that. And this is where the real fun begins, because the next scene after that, they're basically preparing to build the Duke and they've got all the puzzles, the jigsaw puzzles together. Mm-hmm. They've got Annie, who's the ex-partner, who's going to cook the food. They've got the Chinese, the couple who run the grocery store, who are now providing the food. They've now got the young cousin, and they've got Delta Slim, who are going to be playing the music. But they also bump into another character.
Yes.
And she's mighty fine.
Well, it depends on which one you're talking about is mighty fine, because there's two of them that are mighty fine, which is one of them, Miss Haley Stanfield.
Yes, who plays, I believe, Mary.
Yes.
And she basically notices
Stack.
Notices Stack at the railway station.
From almost a mile away, she noticed him. It's like, wow, she recognizes him quickly.
And makes a beeline for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh shit, don't let her see me, don't let her come in.
Yeah.
And he tries to be the hard guy, like, oh, go and fuck yourself, get away from us, it's over, all this stuff. But unknown to him, she's in town because she's burying her mother.
Yes.
Who passed the day before, and he, I think, feels deeply remorseful for what he said. So she's introduced through that way. She then goes on about her business. Mm-hmm. And then the next scene gets very, very interesting.
Yes.
Because the next scene we are introduced to our antagonist.
Which comes out of I'm gonna tell you right now, that came out of nowhere. I mean, it's almost like symbolic if you think about it. It's almost like the devil falling from heaven, and he falls, and I'm like I was kind of thinking, like, is he smoking? Was he smoking?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know if was he on fire or something like that. We find out that yes, something's very shady about this particular character. Very shady.
So this is Jack O'Connell's character, Remick.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts off where you see like a sunset. Mm-hmm. So obviously this whole film's based in 24 hours. So the first half of the movie, you're seeing Smoke and Stack getting all the puzzle pieces together to open the stack on that night. They've got the food, they've got the people to run the joint. They even go to the plantation and they see
a guy named Cornbread.
They see Cornbread.
Yes.
Who he basically says he doesn't speak very flattery to his wife.
Yes.
And Cornbread goes, I'm going to kick your motherfucking ass if you talk to me like that in front of my woman.
Right. And I had to, and this is point something out. I have to say, when I watched this film, and even though I wasn't born in that time frame, I could tell when I was, like I say, growing up in the 70s, that little nuances of those things with my mom and my father and some of the people who grew up during that time, because it was so embedded that about it, and it's and like I say, I'm from the South, and knowing that this is kind of familiar with me, and it just felt so natural. It felt so real. It felt something like welcoming when you watched it.
But I found it hilarious. I found it absolutely hilarious because he's ready to, he's being disrespectful for him and his wife, and she is basically like, he's like, don't speak like that around my woman, around my wife. And he's like, and he says something like, she's going to end up sucking your pecker real good with the amount of money you're going to make. And he's like, I'm coming to kick your ass. And then she turns around and she goes, how much you talking?
I'm like, dude, that right there is like, wow, are you serious? You sound like these modern women right now. It's like, really? Money's talking, and it's like, that's, oh my God.
So Cornbread gets hired basically to be the bouncer on the door.
Yes.
Be security. And once that, he's the final puzzle to like getting the Duke up and running. Yeah. So then that's all all those events are the first, like, throughout the day, the morning, the afternoon, and the early evening. So when we're first introduced to Remick, it's as we're getting to sunset time.
Yes.
And you suddenly just see this guy from behind running across like a dirted area towards this home in the middle of nowhere. And he's got smoke coming off his back. Looks like he's got scars all over his back. And he gets to the door, and they open the door, and it's a young couple. And in the background behind him on the chair is like the mask of a Ku Klux Klan.
And I had
You
to do a
know,
double take on that because I was like, was that a cloak? Was that a cloak for the Ku Klux Klan? Because I was like, if that is like, oh, they're members. It's like, oh wow, okay, so makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah. So they're basically hinting that they're connected to the clan.
Right.
Just like the man in the beginning of the movie was connected to the clan, which comes into play later on.
Right.
So he begs them to let him say there's these Indians after Native Americans that they've been hunting and they've killed his family or they've tortured him, and can they please let him in? So they grant him access to the house.
Yes.
So he walks in, which is great because they're keeping to the traditions of the South.
Mm-hmm.
They're sticking to the cinematography looks great. The look
Yes.
of the movie it's definitely, it keeps to the tone of the times that it's set in, but then it also keeps to the traditions of original vampirism.
Yes, that's what I love about that. Is because that's the notion that a vampire cannot enter a person's home unless you invite him in, and
Yes.
say it still keeps with the tradition of like sunlight will damage these creatures.
Yes. It's basically, this film reminds me of, like, it's a mixture of Mississippi Burning with the tone and the feels, but with Fright Night elements.
Yes, that's true. I can see that, but I also could say that I see a little bit because I kind of mentioned it to you before, a little bit of that midnight mass, in kind of in here. It felt a little bit of that, just a tone of that, but it's so much more.
Especially when Remick later on, he's talking about trying to save them.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like the priest in Midnight Mass talking to the congregation in the church.
And it's like you're trying to save us, but you're damning us at the same time. Really?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So what happens next is, as he enters the house and they hide him, the Native Americans turn up and they basically the noise in the house. But they, I guess, don't want to enter the house either because they know he's a dangerous and they know that what he is.
And the sun is setting quicker too as we speak, because they say that we need to leave because it's getting dark.
Yeah, and I think if the sun had set and they tried to fight Remick, he would have killed them all because it's like a superhero. He gets his strength, like Superman gets his strength from the sun. A vampire gets its strength from total darkness.
Exactly. The total opposite.
Yeah. So what ends up happening next, as she closes the door and she goes looking for her husband, she comes into the bedroom and her husband's lying on the floor and Remick's sitting there with the red eyes and the blood all down his neck, and he's like, and he's fed on him and he's like smiling. He's like, "Don't you worry."
He's okay.
He's okay. And then next thing, our husband raises from the ground and just screams, and it goes to black.
Yes. Which has no effect because you're miles away from anybody can hear you. So there's no sense you screaming. Yeah, you can scream, but no one's gonna hear you.
Mm-hmm. So the next scene we get is the Duke is about to open, and as Smoke and Stack are there, everyone's preparing the foods on, the drinks there. They're all having an amazing time. All of a sudden, the people from the plantation, the community gets together, and they enter the Duke.
Yes.
And this is where the magic begins for me.
Oh God, this is an amazing moment in this movie here, because it's like I say, everything. And I'm looking at it, and it almost reminds me a little bit of Roadhouse, the '89 film. Where you see all these people coming in. Although this is a different take, where it's down the plantation and it's mostly black people, but we get in there, everyone's jiving and jugging and everything. It's this Southern slang, as they say. and they're just having a good time. And I just gotta say, there's a moment in this picture that I really love, and I'm pretty sure you do too. I'll let you hone in on it. And it was one of because this is one of Ryan Coogler's style in a film that he's done.
It was just everything about the next moment was just magic. The feels you get, just the tone, and it was shot in slow motion. And then it would speed up a little bit, then it would slow down. So basically what happens next is Mary. I'm sure Haley's character is Mary. I'm just double checking.
It's Mary. No, it's Mary.
It is Mary. It was Mary. Because I'm starting to doubt myself. I think it wasn't Mary.
No,
or am I? So Mary turns up and they don't want to let her in, but she ends up getting through the door because she basically says, "I kick your ass, cornbread."
Right. And we discussed, and the thing about it is, it's like the whole purpose of why they didn't let her in, because she's predominantly, I'm going to say it, she's predominantly white. Yep. But as we find out, she is part black. Yes. And interesting enough, this is something I'm not sure if anybody who's watching or even you know, Kevin, but I'm thinking you do. Haley in real life is part black. Mm-hmm. And that's why I say it's enriching to know that Coogler, I'm pretty sure he knew that she is part, African American.
Well, that shows you how great of a director, writer, visionary he is. Because when he wrote this story, he would have had in mind, well, I've created these characters, and this particular character, Mary, she needs to look Caucasian, but she needs to have that black connection. So how great was that he found a really talented actress? Yes. And Haley, I have always enjoyed. I remember her first breakout role in True Grit, and I said for it, I'm like majority of people, I'm not a fan of child actors. I think that they boil me piss basically half the time in films, but in True Grit there was something about that. The same when I remember seeing Interview with a Vampire, seeing Kirsten Dunst,
right?
And them two have went on to have fantastic careers.
Yes, because you can see that there's more to them than just being child actors. They embody the ability to actually act and not be, nuisance in what they're doing. They actually become, very talented. And as Haley is very talented. She's a singer, she's an actress, she's all these things. That's a good thing.
So her and Stack kind of start talking, and he's like, "You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be." Yeah, or she actually starts talking to the cousin. This really talented, their cousin, who is just amazing.
Yes.
Who just wants to play the music. He just wants to be a musician.
That's his love. Yes.
That's his passion. So after everyone started having a good time and having a great time, you've got the character of Delta Sim, who's like talking to the crowd and saying, Mary's there after her talking to the cousin and saying, Smoke and Stack grew up. My mother basically helped bring them up. They wouldn't, so there's a deeper connect, and he now kind of understands why Mary's frustrated, because she fell in love with Stack. And she feels abandoned by him. They went up to Chicago in the war, and her mother, who basically was like their mother, brought them up, and she was abandoned by them, basically. Yeah. So she has every right to feel the way she does. And even though, if you think about it, like you see, because she is predominantly white, she probably could have a better lifestyle.
Yes.
And, live a better, but she chooses not to because she connects with the Southern people.
And see, that's the thing I feel it brings out here is knowing that, and that was the thing Stack was trying to do. He was doing that to protect her in a way because he knows if, especially in that, well, hell, from that time to maybe early 70s, whatever.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
married, if you're mixed marriage,
Interracial marriages and relationships were frowned upon.
they are so, and oh my God. I mean, I remember how that was when I was coming up, and I was like, what's the problem? I mean, it's like, in a way I thought it was kind of strange, but if you love somebody that much, why should color be the defining thing to divide you? And her, she was like, yeah, I might look white, but I still have this binding tide of what is inside me to say that I don't give a fuck about my color. I give a fuck about what my heart says. And that's the thing, is that's what's important. But sometimes that goes over some people's heads.
And that's the thing about their relationship. He was being tough with her at the train station and being nasty to her because in his way that was him to like protect her.
Yes.
He was trying to tell her, keep away from me because you're better off without us. But she, even though she is predominantly white, I'm not going to say she considers herself black, but she has that connection because it's in her blood.
It's in her blood, yes.
And so because of that, she just feels a connection to like the blues music. And when she explains this to their cousin, they're fully like, he fully like gets another side of her and understands her more. So instead of telling Stack that she's there in the Duke, he just lets her have a drink and lets her enjoy herself.
Right.
But then when Delta Sim gets on the stage, he goes, there's a young cat out there who says he can play and he can sing the blues. Come on up here, son.
Yes.
And show us what you got.
Yeah.
And when this scene happens, it is the best scene. I was absolutely hypnotized by the screen.
And I don't know if you can tell, this is a one take move too. This is like a one camera shot move. This is something this is a Ryan Coogler specialty, and it works so beautifully in this moment.
Yes, this particular scene is just mind blowing. Because
it blew my mind.
He literally starts singing in such a beautiful, amazing voice.
Yeah.
And as he's singing, there's just this amazing slow motion shot of people dancing, singing. And then there's a voiceover of a person, I think it's Delta Sim, who's talking about the blues and how it's affected the generations and through the years. But then because it's done that and it's panning out, you don't just see how it started back in the day. You see its effect throughout time. It basically goes from the 1930s and shows you events in the 1990s, all while the same people are on screen dancing in slow motion. You see a guy in 90s gear with an electric guitar just suddenly walk on the screen. Then it pans to like say the African drums.
Right.
It's just such a powerful scene. It's a history lesson of the blues.
And see, I can tell you now, while I'm watching this, I'm getting such a joyous, just joyous moment of seeing this, because even though myself, you know this for a fact, I'm predominantly Black, but I have a mixture of that Native American and Caucasian in me. But the thing about it is knowing that is mixed up, it doesn't deter me from seeing that and seeing some kind of joy. In a way, I almost cried when I watched this scene, because you're seeing all these different aspects of how one particular, moment of music affected another generation to another generation to another and you see it all spiral.
And then obviously when we get to the end of the movie, when we talk about the end scene, it even goes further. But me being, obviously, I'm a white guy. I'm a fucking chunky fucking ginger guy from the UK, for fuck's sake. You can't hate the fucking ginger. You can't hate
ginger
the white.
is very predominant. Yes.
I'm not a black dude that's frightened of the sun. I'm actually this fucking white.
You got more, brother. You got more soul than some people, some black people.
So this film's got characters called Smoke and Stack. You can call me fucking Sand.
Yeah. And I don't know if you noticed this too. While they're doing the so-called rotation of the history with the black people, you notice that the characters of Grace and Bo, their heritage kind of appears in that moment too. You know, it's not just a black thing. It's also other cultural thing too. They're Chinese, and some of their background of their heritage is kind of sprung in there too. It lets you know, celebrate all the cultures that are present here, which I love.
It was just a mixture of the cinematography, like you said, the one-shot angle, the slow motion element, the lighting, the music, his singing voice, the instrument. It was a history of blues, and it was American history. It was black history. It was Chinese history. It was a historical moment, in my opinion, all in one shot. But that sets up the dark things that are about to happen.
Oh, God.
Because he has such a beautiful musical singing voice, and the music and the tone and the feels. It basically attracts
the dark,
the darkness that his father told him it would, which is, of course, Mr. Remick.
Yes, and it's such a it's funny. It's kind of funny because when I was talking to when me and Anubis were talking about The Hitcher, you see these people and they're in a predominantly safe environment. They're in a very soft mode where it's like, hey, nothing can hurt us, nothing can destroy us. But the reality is that anything can change in terms of we are going to be very much in danger at any moment. And here is no this happens right here is no farther from the truth. It shows that they're having a good time, but there's a danger afoot, and it's like literally like this father said, the devil's going to come knocking on your door, and it came a knocking, unfortunately, you know.
Oh, it definitely comes knocking. But like you say, they turn up and they turn up to the door, and cornbread's there, you know, good happy cornbread.
Yes.
You know, these guys go, what you guys doing here? Because obviously the Duke is predominantly for, you know, the communities of the people who work on the plantations.
Right.
And he's like, we're just lovers of music. We're here for all. We believe, you know, in equality, and we all are brothers and sisters and all this kind of stuff. And
they have money.
But Smoke isn't believing a single thing they're saying. He knows that it's basically, there's just something doesn't feel right about it. So in the beginning, Smoke turns him away. And we need to talk about actually Smoke and Stack, because Smoke and Stack, the twins, but the great thing I loved about Michael B. Jordan's performance, he gives them both their own personalities.
Yes.
So Smoke's very, he's like Smoke's the more serious,
the more financial head. Yeah, he's more he's more down,
and the other one's more like happy-go-lucky. He's the happy-go-lucky one where, you know, he just wants to have a good time, and, you know, he basically he doesn't take things as serious as Smoke, but of course Stack does.
Yes.
Sorry, Smoke
No,
takes
Smoke.
things
I was gonna say
serious.
Smoke.
Yes.
Smoke. Smoke takes it. Stack does. Yeah, Stack does. And he mentions to Stack that okay, we're doing a good thing right now, but he tells him that just keeping this place going, it's going to cost more than we thought financially to do this. And it's like we may not be able to be open for another 2 months.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's something serious with any business finance. Any person who opens a business, like you have to have the money, the finance, in order to keep up the appearance and the stability of a business. And it's like, yeah, they're making money, but it's not enough to say, can we continue this on for a duration? And it's going to lead to something. What happens later on happens.
Yes. So what ends up happening is they're having this conversation, and Mary's there, and even after her and Stack have like this conversation, and well, we've just said it before, they have this deep conversation where he says, everything I've done is simply just to try and protect you.
Yeah.
And she feels like she's gonna basically do some surveillance and basically check these guys out.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what she does. She goes outside and she goes neck up to them, and she basically does some surveillance. And it's like, it's never hinted, but I felt as if because of how things went on, it made me feel like Remick has the ability to not read people's minds, but get like a sense of the person. Like a sense, he's able to basically sense them, the feelings, the emotions. And he basically begins talking to Mary and basically says, "You're hurting. I feel like there's things inside you that you're in pain and all this." And this is where she basically reveals that she's recently lost a mother, and he's basically playing on her emotions. He's very good at trying to manipulate the situation for his own good.
He has a very heightened sense of awareness of people, and I think that's dangerous for someone who's trying to gain their favor, but at the same time trying to manipulate them, because yes, use that weakness, that pain that they're feeling against them. That way he can, or him or her can manipulate them mentally, because yeah, she's in a dark place herself, but it's like, yeah, I don't think so. We're not gonna go there,
So that's basically what he tries to do. He tries to manipulate her and tries to get. At the same time as he's maneuvering, you can tell that he's acting as strange, and you can see his face, and his eyes are starting to grow slightly red.
And he starts to slobber. He starts to drool. It's like,
yes,
oh no,
yes,
that's not good.
And as you're talking, you think, oh shit, this is where it's going to get gory. She's going to get annihilated. But then she quickly stands up and is like, I'm going back and say to her, you better like keep walking, because you're not welcome here and your money's no good here. And he actually had gold coins.
Yes.
Like gold. And she's kind of taken about, well, how the hell does this dude have gold? Because obviously you don't even know how old Rennick is.
Yes, that's the thing, because he says they're old themselves, so it could be a gold, not bullion. It's what you call the pirates used to have back in the day. It could have been we don't know. As you say, we have no carbon dating of what his age is. He could be 70. He could be a hell of 100, maybe 200 years old. We don't know. We have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, but as you can see, he looks vicious.
Yes, ravenous.
Yes. So what ends up happening as she starts walking away, and you just knew. You
It's a
suddenly
quick
see
cut.
it's a quick cut as she's walking. You just see all of a sudden what it seems like Remick levitates in the air.
Yes,
Kind of,
it almost gives a hint that can he fly? Can they fly?
yeah.
We don't know.
2 seconds later, she's now walking into the club. She's all like, her mood kind of changes, acting all sexy, and she's like all dancing sexy, and she's.
And can I just say that Haley, for the better part, I love her act. I like her, to see her getting and this just shows how good of an actress she really is. To see her so seductive, so sensual, so I was just like, oh wow. I mean, I knew she had a gift for acting, but it's like she is really turning up the heat in terms of sexuality right here, And I had to say too, this is kind of almost embarrassing, but when we see her at the train station and she encounters, Stack and everything, when she walks away from him, I gotta say, her butt in that dress was just like, oh my God, it's like, okay, I never knew that Haley had something like that, I mean, I've never really paid attention to her physically because I'm just like, I'm looking at her acting, but in this picture, you see that it's erupted, it's erupted in this movie. So, and give us time, people. My boy has to check something, so he'll be back. Don't get scared. Don't get scared.
I had to let the freaking cat in. He heard you talking about Haley's ass.
Okay. But I mean, I could not help it because I should point out, the one person that the preacher's son was, that the other girl that was at the train station.
Yeah,
when we see her, when we see her, when I see her in that, and when she walks away, and I see that ass, I'm like, damn, it's like, oh my God, I'm like, dude, I'm just like saying, this is like, oh my God, this is me as a male, as a heterosexual male, just saying, wow, these women are very well green-fed, beans and cornbread fed asses, and I'm just like, I couldn't help but express that. But getting back to my point, and I don't want to straight off track. Yes, this is a moment where we see Mary's character come in there more seductive, more sensual, more all the things she wasn't before. She was kind of sexy before. Here, she's like amped it up to 11 now.
She was very pretty, and she was very, she was pretty, but you could tell she was like in pain, like she was kind of hating. But now it's like she's free of the pain.
Yes,
and she simply just wants to let her hair down and have a good time. But then we know that something's happened to her.
Yes, because you can tell. I mean, like that's the cornerstone of very good acting with people. It's like when they bring out that momentum from switching, because like you say with Michael B. Jordan's character, Michael B. Jordan, the actor, how he's playing two characters at the same time, but very distinctive, individuals. That it's like, okay, we see this is playing about the same character, about the same actor, but we can tell that it's two different personas, And like I say, with Haley, her character Mary, she's very, different here because, she's like, I'm putting caution to the wind. I'm not feeling pain. I know my mom's gone, but I feel free of knowing that I don't have to be with that. I can just live. And we're going to find out soon that that was a dangerous thing being played there.
So she makes a beeline for Stack.
Yes.
And they have another deeper cut, and she basically seduces him.
Yeah.
And she basically says, I just want you, and I want to have that moment with you again, if you know what I mean. And she basically goes and locks herself into the bed, into the office.
Can I just say that I'm not saying that, with actors, you feel like with dialogue that you hear, it's going to be there, it's going to be said. But when you have actors or even actresses say lines that you were not expecting them to say, like Haley saying, like, you want this pussy now? I'm like, what? I'm like, good Lord,
Well,
what? I mean, you really saying that?
Yeah, you see, I didn't know how much we can actually see on YouTube without.
Oh, okay, my bad.
But no, not that. No, but there was a scene earlier where something got even deeper, if you know what I mean.
Which I was going to say, we'll
we'll skip over that because but like you say, she wants a bit of action, and they actually start getting very, into it, and but then you notice that she's got like this white drool coming down her face, and she's like, would you like some? And then she kind of spits in his mouth, which, if people are into that.
I was like, no, you serious with this? No, I'm like, I'm really, look, I'm like, this is showing how some people today really get into these modes of when they're with their partners, and they do these insanely off the shelf type of sexual means of, getting raised. It's almost a sense of foreplay for them, and I guess that's what that was there with them.
So what ends up happening is they get down and dirty, basically, and Smoke's having a situation with a guy who is basically, he's been cheating at the gambling in the back room. So he wants Stack to come to try and sort it. Yeah. 1 second, just let this damn cat out.
I understand. Yeah, sorry about that earlier, people. That was my bad. It's kind of funny. It's funny you say that about YouTube. They'll show a whole bunch of things, that are not, blurred out. But if you say one word that seems like it's like, oh, alarm's going off, we can't say that, we can't do that. It's like, what? And this is, I'm like, come on, man, are you serious? But yeah.
But like, so the gambler has basically been cheating at the games, and he has a knife with him, and he's been cutting the people dealing with the money. So he wants Stack to come out and deal with him. But he's taken too long. So then all of a sudden the cousin goes back to get Stack. But as he opens the door, like, they're really having a lot of fun.
Yes.
They're getting down and freaky, like really down and freaky.
Very freaky.
And so he goes back to Smoke and says, well, he's getting some nookie back there. So then Smoke's like, I couldn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Go and get my... So he basically goes back there to go get Stack. As he opens the door the second time, they're no longer having nookie.
Yes.
Because now she is all over him, biting into his neck. There's blood spattered everywhere. It's a blood fest. So she turns round and stands up, and we are finally revealed to what she truly has become. Which is...
she's part of the undead.
Yeah, she is now the part of the undead. And because she's now basically the undead, she's now a vampire, and because of that, Smoke shoots her like about 20 times in the stomach, and she falls, but she instantly gets up.
Yes.
And she said, she is the one that says out loud, "You will all be dead by the end of the night," and storms out and basically runs past Cornbread, who's like, you know, and that's it.
Yeah.
Smoke goes over to Stack. He looks down at Stack's body. Stack is bleeding out, and he's absolutely broken that his brother has died. Cornbread also goes for a piss after the event because he couldn't hold it in. So when all this takes place and she runs out, Cornbread goes for a piss. You can hear noises behind him, but in the bushes are all around, and you don't actually see nothing.
But then, because you know there's fireflies going on, and if you look real close, there's a moment where you actually
see the eyes.
Yes,
you see the red eyes in the bush. Or
I said that's very effective right there, because it's like it. And I was kind of expecting to see that, because I was kind of like, okay, I'm seeing fireflies, but it's like, are we going to see maybe a hint of eyes in red there, but and so enough, I did see one. I don't know if there was any more, but I saw one set.
I think the voices was of the woman.
Okay.
So I think it was her that turned Cornbread.
Yeah.
Because what happens next is, after that happens, because of all the chaos, because Cornbread went missing for a while, he comes back, goes, "What the hell's going on around here? I've just been for a piss." And he comes up to the door, and he looks at Delroy, and he's like, "Come on, man," goes, "Get out, my mate, let me in, let me." But then that's when Annie's like, whoa, why do you all of a sudden need to be asked to come inside? Because don't forget, when Mary came inside, she spoke to Cornbread, and Cornbread immediately said, "Come on in," because he just didn't know any different.
Yes.
You didn't know she had been changed. And to be honest, as the audience member, we're seeing Remick jump and levitate, but it happened that fast, you didn't know if something had happened to that or not.
Right. It's a throwaway, We just, like I say, we get that shot, but it's like, did she get away fast enough where, and that's the thing right there. You got to wonder, it's like, what did happen, and that's, I feel like.
But I have one inconsistency, Walter, in the movie, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
So when she got shot and she fell on the floor, she stood up. As she stood up, you seen the back of her dress, and she had a bite mark on the back of her neck.
I remember that, yes.
But it was a tiny bite mark. Like just a round little bite mark. And that turned into a vampire. So she's now out of the door. And this is where my inconsistency comes in. Stack's now lying dead. They locked the door. Cornbread wants into the building. And Annie's like, no, just walk in.
Right.
And then Cornbread argues, like, "I've been protecting this place all night. If you don't, trust me, just give me my money and I'll go home."
Right.
So what ends up happening, Smoke goes to give him his money and hands it out like that.
Because she tells him, "Be careful." Yes.
Yeah. Cornbread grabs his arm and pulls him outside, but actually bites his arm.
Well, I mean, I'll put it like this. Now, remember, it's covered with his shirt. So he tries to bite it, but I think Smoke kind of, turns it where he doesn't actually bite. Although I see what you're saying, because it's like, did he actually bite him? Did he actually?
But there was blood all over his arm.
Well, I think that's from Smoke. I think that's from I'm sorry. Stack. Stack. Yeah, Stack. I think that's Stack, if I'm not mistaken. Yes.
Because the reason I'm bringing it up is for the fact that if she only got a tiny bite mark on the back of her neck near her shoulder, and she became a vampire, and he got bit on the arm and he didn't become a vampire.
Well, as I say, because he could remember, she asked. I mean, Annie even asked, like, "Did you get bit? Did you get something?" Say, "No, I mean, I moved out of the way before he can actually penetrate the skin and everything.
Mm.
I can believe me. I can see because even I follow suit with that too because I look at those little details and think like, did he actually not bite him or did he bite him and we just like he didn't get infected? No, and see, we have to take a pause with that too because remember, in From Dusk to Dawn, you know, it's always the rule that you have to bite the victim on the neck or somewhere near the neck for them to get affected. But we see that in that film, it's like you can get bit anywhere on your person and you can turn instantly. You get infected with that virus. That's it. You pretty much are done. You know, you pretty much are that whatever bit you, you know. So it's I mean that's a good point you bring up though. I mean, I feel like that's something that gets your head scratching and you wonder why.
The great thing about this is how they shoot Combat, he gets shot in the fucking face.
Shoot, he gets, oh my God, boy, he gets lockjaw in the worst way. I mean, his jaw is like all mangled up and everything. I'm like, damn, he looks worse than he was before. Like,
yes, so he gets up and he runs off, and then Annie then brings him in, and Pearline, basically the rest of the main cast who are the survivors, who are the next, you know, these guys are the survivors. And basically Annie explains that she doesn't think that, you know, these are not like just on the Ku Klux Klan, they're not just crazy people. I believe we're dealing with the vampires here, the ultimate evil. And she actually explains they can only enter the building if they're invited. They can only be killed if they're stabbed in the heart or using silver.
Yes.
So, like I said, they literally use traditional vampire tropes in this film.
And you did mention the garlic thing too, right?
Oh, and the garlic, yeah, the garlic. 1 second. Just at the just at the weekends, Tony. Just at the weekends. So what ends up happening next is because they find a dead body on the floor that looks like it's been decapitated or something.
Yes.
They believe somebody out of the survivors is a vampire. So Annie makes everybody take like a garlic bud and eat it and swallow it.
Right.
And at one time you thought Delta was going to be a vampire.
Right. Yeah.
But it turns out the bloke with the decapitated head in the blood isn't actually blood. He's dead, but what's on the floor is actually wine.
Same. And he was just drunk or whatever.
And this is where things get real fucked up because suddenly, as they're sitting there, they can hear knocking, and they can hear a voice, and they can hear Stack's voice.
Yes.
And suddenly Stack awakens, stands up, and is wanting out of that damn room. And Smoke is in disbelief, and Annie's like, don't let him out. He's no longer your brother. And this is when you think he's going to be locked in the room, but suddenly it shows how strong the vampires are because suddenly Stack smashes through the door and nearly tries to kill his cousin. He gets up and Smoke's like fighting him off, and Stack ends up getting outside and says, like, I can't remember what he said. I think he said something like, you will belong to us or something like that, and gets out there because they're all kind of connected. All the vampire, when you become a vampire, you all share the same thoughts.
Yes, I gotta say, I think they took I think Ryan might have taken a page out of Underworld because this was something that they did pretty good as far as when either werewolf or vampires bite someone, the blood actually has their memories, their thought process of past deeds and everything or even just their or just how to speak language or anything like that, because it's
And
great how they do that.
And obviously, Smoke's in disbelief that Stack's a vampire and alive. And he basically says, right, we need to go find the lead guy who's done all of this Remick. We need to kill him, because once we kill him, everybody will either die or... Because basically, when you become a vampire, your soul is basically trapped in that body. And you basically lose a sense of all your inhibitions. You lose who you truly are, because you're all interconnected together.
Right.
And he basically says we need to kill Remick and free Stack, free everyone that's been turned into the vampire. But that's when Annie turns around and goes, even if you killed Remick, they wouldn't die. They would still be vampires, because they don't have to. They would lose the connection to Remick, but they themselves would not convert back to human or die. They would stay a vampire.
See, that's where you realize this kind of this. See, what's one thing I love about the mythos of vampirism and lycanthropism is the fact that they have their own mythologies, what they do in films or books or whatever. And the fact that, you can kill the head vampire, like in the Lost Boys or even in Fright Night, but that doesn't mean that you have to follow suit with that. Everyone follows their own mythology of how or what works in terms of story. And knowing that when you're bitten, you're pretty much self-sustaining. You're bit, you might be linked to that person who bit you or someone else, but the end result is that you are you pretty much are a life form on your own who has this so-called sickness. And like I say, vampirism in here is done brilliantly, knowing that you don't have to be kill somebody, kill the head just to be destroyed. You can easily be bitten, and that's it. You just got to be killed by somebody who knows about vampires. So I love that.
That's what I loved about this movie. I love the time period. I love how authentic it looks and feels. I love the characters. I love how strong, but I love how it mixes vampirism in with the times that it's in. It's just such a unique story and movie. And what happens next is the lady who owns the grocery store.
Yes,
basically, she sees her husband outside. And mind, the next bit's amazing. So you had the whole, because this isn't just like a action horror movie. It's a musical. In many ways, it's an experience of music. You had that amazing slow motion scene with all of the music of the blues. The next thing you know, you're treated to the vampires outside. When Smoke joins Mary and all of the other vampires, all the people who were in the Duke who ran away, they've now all been turned into vampires.
Which I did not expect. I thought they all got away. Believe it or not, I thought they all got away. I thought they got away.
Not when you got fucking cornbread as a bodyguard vampire.
Right.
That, like, for a big dude, that fucker can run.
Yeah, see, oh my God, yes he can. Like a linebacker. My God.
So basically, everyone who went out from the Duke is now a vampire. The only ones that did not get turned are the final people that you see here.
Yes.
And the next scene's great because he obviously, the actor who plays Remick is Irish, so it's true because back in that day you had a lot of Irish immigrants, and he's Irish in this, so he's now singing traditional Irish folk songs
and dancing, traditional.
Dancing, and then all the characters, because like I say, they've all got linked together in the main. They're singing and dancing in proper traditional Irish dancing.
And the truth be told, I kind of enjoyed this moment because even though they are vampires, at least they're pretty much in a free mode, because they're not, they're not at fear with anything. They're not at, controlled by. It's like they are with one, knowing that it's like it's not a white thing, it's not a black thing, it's not even an Asian. It's no color. No color is defining them. It's who they are that makes them who they are.
It's one of those movies that, like, it's just an experience.
Yes.
It's a cultural experience. You see, yes, it's set in the 1930s in Mississippi, but it's got so many different cultures and music and tones and feels. It's just a great, great movie. Yeah. And what happens next is basically Remic's now built an army. They're stuck inside. He's preaching, saying, you need to join us because we're going to free you. In his mind, Remick, and this is the thing, he doesn't come across as your stereotypical villain vampire. He's basically saying, because of discrimination, because you'll never be accepted because of the colour of your skin, become a vampire and you are free of all of the hostility.
Which I think that was the basis of what Ryan was trying to say, at least, because that's the thing. That's the go thing, is knowing that, yes, you have that kind of mentality, especially in that time. And in a way you have it now, but it's so much more where you see how it's like we as Black people, because he's been tangling it up in the storyline, saying, I'm trying to not cause no white people to come in here, burn us down, destroy us, whatever. And they're facing something that's far worse, but at the same time, it's free from all that. It's free from all racism and racism.
If you remember when we meet Remick for the second time, the first times where he converts the two, people connected to the clan.
Yeah.
The second time where he comes to the Duke, and he basically says, he's like, I believe everyone is one. I believe everybody should be one. We are all family. We are all one people. No, yes, yeah. The color of your skin should not matter.
Yes.
In many ways, I believe he was being genuine with that.
I believe he was,
and yes. I generally believe in his way. And this is what I think is brilliant about this character. Mm-hmm. He's a vampire, and he's converting people into vampires, but in his way, he feels it's how you're going to bring this divide between black and white. Mm-hmm. That's how I felt.
Or even, like I say, because we have a couple of Asians, it's the same with them. It's we're not, like I say, I'm not converting people, because even he brings up, because he knows because when he bit the two clan members, he knows the plan of what's going to happen to the people who have the juke joint. I'm probably going to, he said, I'm going to convert that particular food too, because, I don't care about his, not mythology, but his thought process about being a Klansman. I mean, I'll free him of that, because, yeah. Well, it would make you sexier, maybe. I'm not saying that you're not sexy, Tony.
Tony's always sexy, baby.
Yes, but no, but you get to the point where it's like, it's a metaphor in terms of saying free yourself from the shackles, because in a sense, we know that, and I don't want to try to get too on the political mode on this, but it's almost saying that any race should not be shackled with what society has brought to you.
Yeah,
we're all shackled.
It's a very clever movie.
Yes.
It's one of those that makes you think. You can go into this as like a generic movie fan and just enjoy it and think, oh, well, it's just a basic time period vampire movie. But if you look at all of the metaphors and look at all the hidden messages that it tells, and it's a history lesson of the blues music.
And see, I'm gonna tell you, for me, I know, in the past, it was always like that in terms of, I would watch a picture, I get that enjoyment, but it's like, I find something more ingrained, something more deeper than that when I'm watching it, because it's like, yeah, it's almost saying, okay, it's almost like saying, okay, you can watch a Godzilla film and you just say, oh, it's just somebody in a rubber suit doing some dance or whatever, beating the hell out of, other monsters, whatever. But there's an underlying message embedded in those films. I mean, as much as people say it's just a generic, sci-fi film, there's more to it, to that movie or films than you might think it is. And see, and I'm the kind of person who really feels that with films like this one, there's something more greater in the movie that some people may not be able to see. And I feel
this is why when I seen it yesterday and I was praising it and I said, Walter, you are gonna love this movie.
And which is and that's probably why I love it so much, because I was like, this is so beautifully made. It's so beautifully made, so beautifully shot. And I was like, and I get it, not for a black thing. As I said, not for a black thing, not for a white. I see what is being said here,
So after that dance, the Asian, the wife of the grocery store lady, who, her and her husband, who provided a lot for the Duke, she realizes that her husband's still outside.
Yes.
So she basically wants to go out and save him, but when she goes and opens the door and looks, our husband's there, and he's like, come on, honey, let's get in the car. Let's go back home. But then she's like, she just knows something's not right because he's acting very cool, calm and collected. But, there's about 10,000 fucking vampires just down the road.
Well, remember when he does come to the door, Cornbread is chewing on Homeboy that was supposedly, they put outside, and everything. And she tells he's chewing on him, he's eating on him,
and he's like, oh, don't worry about it.
I was like, really? I mean, you're just going to be nonchalant about that? I mean, you're just very, casual about that.
Then he says, oh, don't worry about it. Just let him do his thing. He goes, let's go home. Let's go back to the store. Let's go back to our daughter. And he goes, oh, you can let me inside.
Yes.
And as he's standing looking at the door, as he approaches and you see his eyes, there's like a change in his eyes, and he's a vampire. And this is when Remick comes up and he tries to talk to Smoke. And he goes, one way or another, we're getting inside. You can't stop the inevitable. Yes. And then the Smoke's like, fuck you, asshole. And I go, I've faced worse than this. And this is where he goes, we're going to just stay here till dawn. And he goes, that's fine, but there's a bigger danger out there in the morning. And that's when he explains that the guy who sold them the old sewing mill is part of the Ku Klux Klan. And he promised that he wouldn't turn up, and he's got a legion of guys that he's going to bring in the morning and take them all out.
And see, this was the moment where I said this. I mean, earlier we saw them Smoke and Stack talking to the man. I'm thinking like, okay, it's just a throwaway because they're buying the place and whatever. That comes full circle with this when Remick mentions this to him.
And how Remick knows that information is because the first two people that he converted into vampires, like I said, in their home on the side of the chair was a Ku Klux Klan hood. And because he's converted them into vampires, he's got their memories and he knows they were going to be a part of that attack in the morning.
And this is what happens so brilliantly in this scene also, when he tells Grace, the wife of the Chinese, the Asian wife, and the what's his name, Bo, he starts speaking. I think, is it Mandarin or Cantonese? I'm not sure, but it's Chinese basically. It's Chinese altogether. He starts speaking in her native tongue, and I'm just like, oh, dude, and I was like, oh, he knows how to speak because he's bitten him, and he knows how to. That's why I say that's such a brilliant mind fuck, man, because I'm like, you really get the knowledge of the people, not just with what they know in terms of memories, but in language. He can speak different languages just by biting someone and just automatically know speaking their tongue. I'm like, oh my god, it's such a brilliant moment because when you see him say to her, you know, and I'm not going to say what he says. When he says what he says to her, I'm just like, okay, that was an insult, dude. And then it's like, really, you're actually saying this to her, and you're saying it in her tongue, and making it seem like she has no choice, but I'm gonna do something that's gonna be horrific in this moment. Because you got to remember one thing about any of these films we see, the underlying problem, or I should say, when I say problem, or the Achilles heel for anything is human weakness. When you feel or love someone, have that a strong emotional attachment to someone, when something bad happens to them or whatever, your judgment is thrown off. And her judgment was about to get thrown off in the worst way, because he's saying these things to him, and her husband is saying, he's pretty much telling him, like, well, I can go to town and see your daughter, and it's like I was like, dude, don't say that, don't do that. I mean, that's just a nail in the coffin kind of saying, but it's such as I say, it's such a mind fuck how this is playing
at the end of the day. It sets her on a spiral.
Yes.
Because when she gets back inside, basically what ends up happening, they start making makeshift weapons out of like garlic and fire, and they get tables and smash them into and make spikes and stakes. But she's that irate. She's thinking of her daughter, and she can knock her out of her head. She ends up, when they're arguing and fighting, she ends up screaming, "Come on in!"
Yeah, she literally. Oh my god, this is what's so empowering when you know that when someone's at the end of their rope, and she literally say, "Come on in, you motherfuckers!" It's like, damn, this little woman's kind of quiet, demure woman says this. It's like she's like, I don't give a fuck no more. I'm like, you threatened my family. You already took one of my people. That's my husband. It's like, come on in. It's like, I'm gonna go down fighting. I was like, shit. It's like, she ain't quiet.
And that's exactly what happened. She went down fighting in a great ball of fire. And I mean, literally, she was on fucking fire.
Oh my! And she wasn't even a vampire, but she's like stabbing. I'm thinking was it her husband or someone else?
Well, she originally has the thing with the fire in the gas bomb.
Yeah.
She throws it and sets one of them on fire. So then she suddenly gets the stake. And I think she had a light or something in hand, and she's trying to stab him. And she's on top of him. But then he bites her. But she's like, I'm just going to stab the fuck out of him. But then because she's got a lighter and she's stabbing him, she ends up setting something alight, and the two of them are just like that on fire, just stabbing him.
And she's screaming, but she's like, I'm killing you. It's like, wow. She went out, as someone would say, she went out like a straight G. She's like I say, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die fighting.
It's like she's fucking covered. She's like a fireball at this point. She's just in flames and just stabbing the shit out of the vampire.
Like, wow, that's hardcore. That was hardcore.
Yeah, just amazing. And then obviously Pearline and the cousin, they basically go upstairs to try and get out. Smoke tries to get out. Well, first things first, what happens is Annie, who has told them all the rules and the regulations, just prior to the vampires entering, because she said, if you become a vampire, your soul gets locked and trapped in the body.
Right.
And because of the history with her and Smoke having this young child that passed away many years ago, she said to Smoke, no matter what happens, don't let me become one of them. I want you to stab me in the heart and let me go.
Yes, let me be at peace.
So during the scuffle, after she's become the great ball of fucking fire, and the fighting everything in front of them, she is suddenly attacked by none other than Stack.
Yes.
Basically a brother-in-law.
Yes.
And he's biting into that and just lying, and she's just pinned to the ground. Smoke manages
all this too.
Yeah, Smoke manages to get her free, but the damage is done.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks at him and she goes, "You promised."
Yes.
Set me free.
Free. Say, do the deed. I mean, it's like you promise. Don't go back on your word.
It must be the hardest thing in the world.
And it is.
You know, to do something with that to somebody you truly loved. But he does exactly that. He sets her free and stabs her in the chest with the stake. And it's quite a gory scene because there's fucking blood just scattering all from our chest area.
Right.
And because he knows it's a losing battle, they're all outnumbered by vampires. This is where Delroy Sim, the alcoholic, Delta Sim, decides, fuck this. He's drinking beer as well. He's fucking trying to fight the vampires.
Like, yes.
He's like this.
Right. I mean, he cuts himself to say, "Come on, you mean you want to get a taste of my blood? Come on, you know, come on."
He basically he knows he's fucked. He's not gonna get out alive. So he basically like, oh fuck this! I'm gonna get pissed and I'm gonna fight. So he goes, while I'm fighting and getting pissed, drunk, and fighting, you guys go up and get out, escape. Yes. So he's basically got a bottle in his hand and a fucking stake like that.
Right.
And so what, like you say, he smashes the bottle, he slashes his wrist, and he's like waving the blood that's dripping and spitting, and he's like that. And all the vampires, because they can smell the blood, go after him. Pearline and the cousin and Smoke go up. The preacher kid go up, and as they open the door to escape, Remick and Stack are there, and they basically attack them. Pearline, who unfortunately got bitten, basically sacrifices herself to save Preacher and Smoke. They get outside, and the place is on fire. Well, not on fire, it's all wrecked.
Yeah.
And all the vampires are now outside, and, you know, they're all in sync with one another. They're all talk, they're all singing. Preacher's trying to get out, and then suddenly he starts praying, and the next thing you know, Remick grabs him in the near this water stream, and he's dunked. It's like a baptism.
I was just about to say it's like a baptism what he's doing to him. Yes.
Yeah, it's like a baptism. He's trying to baptize him, and like talking to the words, and all the vampires are like coming out and around, and they're like talking and singing. And Smoke and Stack get into this big fight at the same time, and luckily Smoke gets upper hand and Stack, and he's got him pinned to the ground. The next thing
he tells him it's like, I tried to protect you, and Stack said, "You always did." I was like, wow, that's harsh, you know.
So it makes you wonder if he knows what he's doing or not. Because I purposely think, because Remick's like the sire vampire, he has some sort of control over them, but they're still kind of, as a part of them still there.
Yeah, it's his own. Yeah, that's why I say they're their own entity, but like I say, they're linked up.
They're linked up to whoever sired them, which is Remick. So as the baptism of hell basically is transpiring. You can also see the sun kind of coming up.
Yes.
So you're thinking, he's going to end up getting fried anyway. But in my opinion, what was going to happen if they all died? They would have all ran inside the Duke and just hid there.
Yes.
And I generally think what would have happened is the Ku Klux Klan would have turned up and the vampires would have wiped them all out.
Probably so.
But that's not what happens. Because just as you think Remick has got the upper hand, as he's baptizing and drowning the preacher, next thing you know is boom.
Smokes him.
Smokes him from behind. And mind, those scenes are brilliant where you slowly see him turn into dust.
Yes.
But it's not just that, you get to see he's full vampire form. You see the teeth.
Yes.
You see the giant
claws. You see claws in him. Yes, exactly. And then he goes full fireball when the sun.
And because he's got the claws, remember when Preacher Boy first came out and he was doing the baptism, he clawed him across the face.
Yes.
Which leads to the beginning of the movie where he approached the church and he had claw marks. The claw marks come from Remick.
He was marked.
So the next thing you know, Remick he suddenly dies. And you do see Mary and she goes, I've got to get out of here, and she runs away.
Right.
So when I knew she had survived.
Truth be told, I didn't know for sure. I had no idea if she survived or not.
I knew she had because she said, I'm running away. She just went, we've got to get out of here, and she runs away. So I knew that.
Okay.
And then all the vampires, because they're all interlinked, they just stand there and turn to dust and die because the sun comes up.
Yes. Barbecued them.
So all that's left is Preacher Boy and Smoke.
Well, with Preacher Boy and Smoke. And it's at this point where, they see all this carnage and, he tells Preacher Boy, it's like, go back to your father, go back home, take my car, leave this life, just leave it, and go back, and he said, I have this is why I say this picture, you don't know what's going to happen next. I'm thinking like, okay, I got this picture kind of summed up, they did defeated whoever these vampires. It goes total, it kind of goes Rogue One on me. It does something that I wasn't expecting to happen, and he tells him, I got some unfinished business to take care of. And I'm just like, what's that unfinished business? And I was like, oh, that's right. He's got to take care of.
I didn't actually, when he said that, I didn't know what he meant.
I didn't either. I didn't really know, but
And then so skip to the beginning of the movie again. So the last part of the movie basically is the beginning. Right. You see Preacher Boy with the scars on his face enter the church, and he's got a guitar in his hand. And the preacher's like, I told you, playing that kind of music, you are singing and you are inviting evil, and that's what you did. You invited evil. And even Remick said, when he turned up the Duke, I heard your song. I heard your music. It was like calling to me. And so you have the scene where it cuts to a scene where his hand's holding the guitar and it's shaking. And his dad, the preacher, is insisting he stays with them. Then it cuts to Smoke. And it's daytime. And it's the old mill. It's the aftermath of the night before.
Yeah.
You see him go to the back of the van, the truck that had all the equipment and the supplies. He takes it into like the grass area and he opens it up, And you then all of a sudden see all the military equipment from when they were in the war. You see the helmets, you see the uniforms, you see the weaponry, you see grenades.
And you're just like, what the hell? It's like, what's he
What?
got this? What's he?
You,
What's he going? What's he gearing up for? You know, it's like, what's
you
he
think, oh,
doing?
what the fuck? So we're going into war now, are we? Like, what the fuck? It went from being a vampire movie set in Mississippi. Now is he going back to join the war or what? The next scenes blew my fucking mind.
Same here.
The douchebag who was part of the Ku Klux Klan,
who said there was no more Ku Klux Klan here. I was like, yeah, okay.
He turns up in a van with a bunch of pricks.
Yes.
A bunch of the members of the Ku Klux Klan that all have weapons. And he's like, once we deal with this, we'll get the mill back and we'll get all the money. So as they approach to go inside the mill, it's like a sniper. All you hear is he's in the bush behind and he's literally pinpointing and he's shooting at the people of the Ku Klux Klan like a member, like a sniper from the military.
Right.
Which is just amazing scenes.
Yes.
He's got like this giant gun and he's blasting everybody, but then that runs out of bullets. He sees people flying all over, but there's still people in the van starting to get out.
And that's when he pulls out that Tommy gun.
Yeah. The next scene you see, he comes running out of the bush. Boom.
Yes. He's laying them. He is laying them down left and right. I'm just like, and it's like, boy, this is what you call this is a beauty of destruction, a beauty of carnage in this moment, you know.
I was like, so it's set in Mississippi, but no, it's during like the civil rights movement when you had all that shit going on. Right. The Ku Klux Klan, you've got vampires, you've got you've got like a journey through the time of what blue music, how it started, how it developed, different cultures, different races, all coming together, life lessons, love, loss, all that. And now you've got a guy with a fucking Tommy gun kicking the shit out of the Ku Klux Klan all in one movie.
Not what I was expecting, but you know what? I felt it felt right because he is told the fact that they were going to come back and pretty much pounce these people and just pretty much wipe them out in this place. It's like, but he's like, I got another plan for you, you motherfucker. I got something for you.
But then, as he's got the Tommy gun and he's shooting the shit out of everywhere, one of the guys does shoot him in the side.
Yes, unfortunately.
But then he gets the upper hand, and I love the bit where he gets the grenade in the moving car and he hoys it and he blows the fucking car up.
Right.
But then the guy, the douchebag, right for at the beginning of the movie, is laying on the floor bleeding. He then basically collapses next to him. And you just see what looks like white feathers around him. Like little. And he's like. And all of a sudden you hear Annie's voice.
Yeah.
And Annie, who passed away in the Duke during the battle, she's sitting right next to him, dressed all in white, breastfeeding the baby boy that they lost. And she's like, do you want to hold him? He's like, I sure do. But as he's saying that, he's like, let me take care of something. And the guy in front of him, who was the leader of the Ku Klux Klan, looking up at him, he's like, I've got money. And he just goes.
I'm just like, I just felt I felt a very warm sensation when he did that. Cause like, just get rid of this guy. Cause
I just thought it was fucking cool as fuck, to be honest. And then this is when I shed a tear when he finally holds his baby.
I did. I gotta say, man, my feelings right there. It's like God.
In him and Annie and their child are finally reconnected.
Mm-hmm. In a very good way, and it's sad that it ends that way, but in a way they're at peace and they're together, and that's what you want to see.
You then go back to Preacher.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, it ended with him holding the guitar, and all you saw was his hand shaking with his bloody hand with the guitar. When his father gives him a choice, you either come back to us and join the church and live this life, or you don't. The next thing you know, as you're seeing Annie and him and the baby together, you see the car. It turns to the scene where Preacher Boy is in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And he's drove away from the church with his guitar. He decided, I have a passion.
Yes.
And I still want to do music.
And that's the thing. I mean, his passion is his love. I mean, he doesn't. It's not like he doesn't want to defy what his father has taught him and everything. It's just that's his love. It's something that he really has a love for. It's not something that's so demeaning. It's just something that he has a heart for. And it's just and this is where this is like I say, this film takes some incredible, amazing feats of what it does.
So I thought going from being, like I say, in the Mississippi in the 1930s was brilliant. The vampire elements, the civil rights, the Ku Klux Klan.
Yes.
The right at the end, going fucking commando on the fuckers and then reuniting with your long lost family. Brilliant.
Yes.
Then as the credits begin to roll, we see an older version of the Preacher Boy, because you know it's him because he's got the scar on his face from Remick, is an older man playing in the 90s in all these jazz in blues bars, and he's become quite a well-known
guitar player
in this band that he named Pearline after the girl that he meets in the Duke, in honor of her. And as the credits are rolling, you're seeing all of that. Then just when you think the film's about to end, we get to this marvelous scene where he's sitting after a gig in a bar, and one of the security officers comes up with him and says, there's two cats at the back that would like to see you. Do you want to see them, or do you want me to turn them away? He goes, oh, go on, bring them in.
I was kind of like, yeah.
And lo and behold, it's Mary.
And Stack.
And it's Stack.
And here's the brilliant thing about that. When you see them, they are dressed in the attire of the 90s, especially, I mean, both of them are, but you see how Stack is dressed. And then when you see Mary, it's like, wow, they look exactly like the times of what the 90s were, especially the early 90s.
And the thing, and it goes back to what Annie said.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the person who said it was killed, you would still remain a vampire. But I think this is what I said. They've all linked in the mind. So because Stack and Mary survived, and the reason Stack survived is because Smoke said, I will let you go if you promise never, ever to come near Preacher or any of my family ever again. So because that's how he survived.
But I said to myself, it's like, wait a minute, he survived? And he's like, his brother didn't kill him. But we flash back and see that, no, he didn't kill him. Even though he's turned and everything, it's still his brother. And I was like, okay, I can go with that.
The next thing I know, Preacher sitting there, and he's old, yes, but he's still frightened.
Mm-hmm.
But then Staff like sniffs him. And he goes, "You haven't got long, have you?" Because then he must realize he must have an illness or something.
Yes,
I'm assuming cancer or something.
that's what I was thinking too. Yes.
And then he basically goes, "For old time's sake, why don't you play us a song?" In the next few minutes, it's just crazy. Like the Friends again.
Yeah, exactly. It's like old times. I mean, we got to
like,
remember this is 60 years from the last time he's seen them, and they're just like, hey, we're just like old buddies, friends that
so,
we're family.
And even Mary, who was very seductive, she's like the Mary before she was transformed.
Mm-hmm.
She's very demure and pleasant. And I generally believe once Remick was killed and he didn't have like a bit of control or influence under them, they've become who they were before, but the vampires.
Right.
And just amazing. They kind of like come to peace with one another. They kind of forgive. Not, I wouldn't say forgive, but they kind of have like they have this mutual respect for one another.
Yeah, I think that's exactly. I think that's exactly what it is. They realize like I am this.
At the end of the day, they've got history, and most importantly, they're really the family.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens next blew me away. So they forgive each other. He plays one last song for them. So Mary and Stack go to leave, and he turns and he goes, "Do you remember when we were in the Duke the first time before the chaos all happened? Us just singing and playing." He goes, "Of course I do." He goes, "Do you ever miss it? Because that was the best day of my life."
Yes.
And Stack goes, "It was mine too." And that was before he was even turned into the vampire.
Yeah.
And he's got their memories, and then the film ends, and it was just such.
I gotta say, I got choked up at that moment for some reason.
It was just an amazing story, just from start to finish. Such a brilliant movie, and I'm gonna be honest. For now, because I don't know if anything else is going to top it, but right now I can't see it. This is going to be my top film of the year.
Well, I have to agree with you. I mean, because I have some late in the game films, but I feel this one is probably going to be the one that's going to be hard to beat as far as favorites.
For me, it is because it. Everyone in our group, everyone in the sci-fi society, everyone in the sci-fi collective know I love me vampire films.
Right.
But I don't just see this as a vampire film. This is an emotional roller coaster. It's a music history lesson.
Mm-hmm.
It's a history lesson really in American culture. It is an emotional story. It's a scary story at times. It is one of those films, basically what Ryan Coogler's be able to do. He's been able to make a film that basically it's one of them films that is not just a one-trick pony. It basically hits the mark on so many levels. It's got so many
layers
that it's just such a fun film.
Yeah, I mean, because it's funny that and I know some people tend to nowadays or even in the past just want to go and see a film that's dumb and stupid and whatever genre it might be, whether it be comedy, drama, or sci-fi, or whatever. But I'm a person who really wants a film to really grab me, whether they're what genre are. I want it to really suck me in and say, this is what this is, and hopefully you take something from it.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And for me personally, this is one of them films basically that it's what I said this to you the other. cinema and going to the theater needs to be an event. This is an event film.
Sure.
And just because it's a vampire movie, the thing is, it's not about the vampires deep down.
No, it's more to that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask you all that final thoughts on Sinners.
Well, I'll make it pretty. Excuse me. I guess I'm getting kind of choked up thinking about it. But in all, this film, it's a rarity. It's an enigma. It's one of those films where I say we're taking an element that we're very familiar with, which is vampirism. We're taking another element, which is dealing with, the history of, socialism and everything. But we're taking them and giving it a different kind of mix. But it feels so original. It feels so natural.
It's also an adventure through different types of blues music and eras.
And it gives you this hint of knowing that you don't have to follow the so-called tropes or formulaic, storylines of things, because it's like we've seen you like I say, when you watch a film like A Working Man, you can see the tropes, you can see the formulaic layers of what it's doing. We see that. Here, you can't really catch it right away. I mean, you might have an idea, but it goes so much farther than that. And to me, I like a movie that okay. I love a film that gives you a mystery to it. It's an enigma. It lets you know it's like whatever you thought you're going to expect, you're not. And to me, I think that's what the problem with cinema nowadays is some people have lost the flavor of mystery, lost the feeling of how you tell a story in mystery,
yes,
so that you're pulled into it. This movie pulls you in, doesn't let go until it's over with.
Definitely.
We Sinners, if it, and I said this before, I'll say it again, but if this movie, and if it doesn't, that's okay, because it's the reward it gets is knowing that people praise it for its, use of storytelling, history telling.
I sometimes think, though, some of the best movies that are out there that are still talked about today didn't win awards.
Yes.
Because awards can go far, but it's not about the awards, it's about the audience. So if people will constantly see and talk about a movie, whether it's won an award or not, it's the people that keep the memory of a movie alive.
Right. I mean, let's face it. I mean, we mentioned some films earlier, and none of them were ever nominated for some award. Maybe something, kind of small. But the fact of the matter is, what makes a film have that longevity? It's the people. The people are the ones that make a film where it is and where it's become and what makes it such a classic. And to say that this one will not be a classic, I would tell that person to go fuck yourself, because this one will be in time a classic, because it's that strong of a picture. It's that strong of a film.
Definitely. So if you had to rate this, how would you rate Sinners?
Oh boy.
I'll be first. It's getting 10 out of 10.
Well, see, I did, and you know what? That's what I was going to give it to. I say 10 out of 10. I mean, I know it's not so much perfect, but you know what? I feel it is in a way, because it really gives you a great moment of knowing that it helps the mind digest itself on something that you wasn't expecting, and knowing that you put it like this: if you expect the unexpected, okay, you're lost. But if you don't expect what's going to be expected, that's a good thing, because it lets you know that that's a good story.
See, for me personally, I went in after seeing the trailer and expected a very deep, just a basic but really good action vampire film. Right. And when I left the theater, because I seen the two trailers, they didn't really give away much.
Right.
But I thought, oh, if they're not giving away much, and I knew Ryan Coogler and I knew how good he was, I thought this is going to be fun.
Yes.
But I just thought, like the Working Man, going into the Working Man, you knew what you were getting. An action film with lots of great action, maybe an okay plot, and you're just there for, what it is. Going into this, I kind of had the similar vibe of it's a vampire movie set in the 1930s. Let's see, that's different. I know it's going to be different. Let's see what they do with it. And the trailers basically hinted that this was just going to be like a horror movie. But when I left the theater, it was something completely different. It was an experience. It was a cinematic experience. And I said it before, when I go to the theaters, the majority, I go to see the films I want to see. I've only got 5 films this year that I really want to see in theaters. Seen 2 of them. Years ago, when you looked at films and there were events,
yes,
I would go 4 or 5 times, 6, maybe 10 times a year. This day, not as much.
And it's not, and it doesn't have anything to do with necessarily with the price, even though sometimes it does.
No,
but
it's not about the price. It's about the films themselves. Every film was a you look forward to it. Now you don't get the same vibes. And I can generally say when I went into the theaters, I had one idea in my mind. When I left, I was in total awe. And this for me is the one of me. I'm going to tell you now, this now is going to be one of my favorite films for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Not because it's just a vampire film.
Right, it's not
because not because there's some Kungalingus in it. Because it's just a fucking really good movie with a lot of great metaphors, a lot of great story, a lot of great, ideas. Ku Klux fucking Klan getting blown away, vampires, blues music, the characters. There's not one bad actor in this. Every actor, it's fucking every actor lights up the fucking screen.
Yes.
Even fucking Cornbread.
You're right. I was gonna say Cornbread. Yeah, even Cornbread brought his A game, and that's the thing. It's like that's the thing. You have to look over. You have to look past. You have to think outside the box and realize: was this a good story, or was it just just a good phenomenon? In a way, it's both. But you come away with knowing that that's what it is. It's a very good story. And yes, I'll feel the same way with you on that, brother. I mean, I'm definitely going to be saying, because I've already suggested this to my niece. She was asking me, tell me, Uncle, is this worth me seeing? And I said, yes, you and Dee, her husband, y'all both need to go see this film.
You and me, I messaged you yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I went to see this with my good friend Jill of 30 years. My absolutely love this girl, best friend. Grew up together, 30 plus years of friendship.
Right.
We both left the theatre, and I said this to you. We were sitting in the car, driving home. We both looked at each other, and we both literally went at the exact same time, I'm going to buy this on physical media, and we were both pissed ourselves laughing because it was in sync.
See, right? I was about to say, you two were in sync with that.
So, from me to you, if Jill says she's buying on physical media, because she doesn't get much physical media now, she mostly just streaming. For her to buy physical media, it's got to be something real damn good. So if it gets approval from her and it gets approval from me, it's a 10 out of 10. So with all that said, my good friend, my brother, what is coming up on Jedi Grand Velle Productions?
Well, believe it or not, next Saturday will be another of a live stream on my channel, which is going to be celebrating the 70 years of another Godzilla classic, Godzilla Raids Again. And like I say, because it's the introduction of Anguirus, who will be turning 70 along with this film, which is cool. And like I say, it's going to be streaming
The
live.
ultimate underdog.
Yeah, very much so. And I'm hoping that I told this in the news. Hopefully, a certain person that I got in contact with will join me for this if they can. If they can't, it's okay. I'll be like I say, I really want to do this because I feel like this movie. Some say this film is like, yeah, but it has a special place in the Godzilla mythos.
I love it. I love it.
So, but other than that,
all I'm going to say is the only downside I would say about it, they killed Anguirus off too soon.
They did, yes. I mean, it like I say, it has its perks, but it has its cons also. So it's But other than that, that's for this month. For next month, it's going to be pretty much the same, which I'm going to be joining on your channel for the X from Outer Space, which this movie definitely needs to be talked about once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, And I think we're also going to be doing Reign of Fire sometime later.
Yes.
That week, something like that.
Yes. So there you have it. That is from my good brother Jedi Grand Velle. That is what's coming up with him, and he's mentioned what's coming up with me. The Kaiju Connections, the X from Outer Space, and Retro Classic Movie Show. We're going to be doing Reign of Fire. We'll also have my next education, which is going to be heavy metal. And it's me and DJ Anubis from the Metal Tavern Radio is going to be teaching me all about heavy metal music, something I'm not well diverse in. It's going to be a lot of fun. But this has been me. This has been my brother Jedi Grand Velle. And we've just talked about Sinners, probably the best film of the year so far. Let us know in the comments below what you think of Sinners, and if you agree with me and Jedi, is it the best film of the year so far? But like I always say, keep loving your movies, keep on loving all things entertainment, and we'll catch us all at the next one. Peace out.